There's a reason why not even 0.1% of people have Red Dead 2's Platinum Trophy, and that's because this 250-hour Platinum has one of the worst grinds of all time, as I'll need to find the rarest animals in the game, fight for my life against bears, reach rank 50 in Red Dead Online, and much more. But I'm not only gonna get the Platinum Trophy, I'll be getting it in an 100-day time limit. But as you'll see, it did not turn out how I expected. Like, bro, I hate this game so much. I only have a few hours left to get the Platinum Trophy. Like, this is the exact reason why nobody should Platinum Red Dead 2. In Phase 1, we'll start out by completing the story, then in Phase 2, we'll get Red Dead 2's painful online trophies, and finally, we'll 100% the story and get our 250-hour Platinum Trophy. To get the first trophy back in the mud, I have to complete Chapter 1, which is basically a massive tutorial where I learn to do things such as shooting, looting, hunting, and basically most stuff I'm gonna need to know for the Platinum. And I also started learning about Arthur, who's the character we'll be playing as. You see, it's the year 1899, and Arthur is a member of the Dutch Vanderlyn gang, who are currently on the run from the cops. But the cops weren't gonna stop us, as we robbed the train for the final mission of the game. But it was no longer safe in the mountains, so Arthur and his fellow gang members moved down south near the town Valentine, which is where Chapter 1 concluded. Hey, let's go back in the mud for completing Chapter 1. Now that we're in Chapter 2, the game feels completely different and there's so much stuff to do. However, this is also when we're introduced to the 5 missable trophies we're gonna have to watch out for while going through the story. I actually got my first missable trophy by complete accident after donating $250 to the donation box at camp, which left my bank account to crumbs. However, I couldn't just get all the missable trophies out of the way, as for some of them, I needed to wait all the way until the final chapter of the game to get them. So I was gonna need to keep a close eye on those missable trophies because one mistake can lead me to needing to replay the story all over again. Overall, Chapter 2 is pretty chill, like we even did some goofy missions. And for the final mission in Chapter 2, we robbed another train. Hey, let's go complete Chapter 2. In Chapter 3, I was getting close to completing 2 of the missable trophies. The first one was Errand Boy for delivering 5 camp companion requests. When you talk to some of the gang members at camp, they sometimes ask you for random favors, such as getting them a specific book or pen or something like that. So you basically travel across the map to collect their favor, and once you deliver it back to them, that's 1 camp companion request. So I repeated this process 4 more times and got the trophy. Errand Boy. Deliver 5 camp companion item requests. The second missable trophy I was getting close to was breaking and entering for recovering the stash in 4 homesteads. So basically there are specific homes around the map which you can rob and recover hundreds of dollars worth of stashes. So after going around the map and breaking and entering into 4 different homes, I got the trophy. I continued playing the story, and after only a few missions, I accidentally received the trophy Trusty Steed for reaching a max spawning level with a horse. By the way, this isn't an admissible trophy, it's just an easy random trophy. But it was in Chapter 3 when we also received our first of many deaths in the story. We were about to start an undercover security job for a rival gang when one of our best friends, Sean, got absolutely bopped in the head. And it was also around the time when Jack, a kid from the camp, went missing and was supposedly kidnapped by that same gang that killed Sean. So we weren't gonna let any of that slide, so we decided to burn down their mansion. Unfortunately, we didn't find Jack in the mansion, but we did get information on where he could be, and that led us to the large city of Saint Denis. Settling feuds. Now that we unlocked Saint Denis, I realized that there's so many things I could do that I didn't do before, like gambling, buying new horses, buying new guns, and much more. But what really caught my eye was the barber shop, because at this point Arthur was needing a haircut badly.
Low taper fade. You know what's crazy is that low taper.
Now that Arthur has a fresh cut, we went to go find Jack. But once we got to the place, some rich guy told us that if we wanted Jack, we were gonna have to do some tasks for him. So after robbing a graveyard, we actually get Jack back, and everyone back at camp is super happy for him to be back home. Next, I got the second last missable trophy, Friends with Benefits, for completing a companion activity in each camp. Even though we're not close to the end of the game, we're actually already in the final camp. In Chapter 2 and 3, I played some dominoes, but for the final activity, I decided to switch things up a bit. So I went gator egg collecting with Pearson. Honestly, like, what does that even mean? But once I finished collecting gator eggs, I got my trophy. So to summarize Chapter 4, Dutch was basically yapping about some island called Tahiti and how we need some money to move there and we'll finally be at peace. But in order to do that, we need to pull off the biggest heist in history on the bank in Saint Denis. So we forcefully stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from the bank, but on our way out, this happened. So we basically lost another member of our gang, but we were gonna have to keep going because literally every cop in Saint Denis is after us. So to get away, we snuck over to the boat docks and took a boat to Tahiti. We're about halfway to Tahiti and everything's going well until a large storm destroys our boat and Arthur is forced to jump into the water. But then Arthur wakes up the next morning washed up on an island, but he doesn't really know where he's at. And that's when we enter Chapter 5. We found Dutch and everyone else that was on that boat with us, but we were kind of confused on where we actually are right now because this is not Tahiti. That's until some bad guys found us and handcuffed us for no reason. But then some good guys started fighting the guards. So we escape and we find out that we're actually on the island of Guarma, which is run by gangs and just tons of violence, which is the exact opposite of Tahiti. By the way, chapter 5 is actually the shortest chapter in the game, only taking 2 hours to complete. In the first hour in Guarma, we helped prisoners escape from the same gang that handcuffed us before. Only a few short missions later, and just like that, we're already at one of the final missions of chapter 5. In this mission, the bad guys found our hiding spot, so we had to take them down. But we had a plan, and that was to pull out some cannons, and we blew up their ship. After that, we rushed over to a nearby boat and sailed away back to the main island of Red Dead 2. We headed back to camp, and everyone there were shivering their timbers. But this might have been because the cops were still on our tail from that bank robbery in Saint Denis, and they eventually found us, but we were able to fight them off. So that means we're moving on to chapter 6. No traitors. Complete chapter 5. Instantly into chapter 6, I wanted to get the final missable trophy out of the way so I can really focus on the story. For the trophy lending a hand, I had to complete all honor story missions. In the last few chapters, there were a few side missions I had to complete along the way, which were overall not too hard. And for the last side mission of the game, I headed over to Hanging Dog Ranch with Sadie and took over a small gang hideout. So we killed everyone at the gang hideout, and after a short cutscene, I got the last missable trophy. Lending a hand. So I continued on with the story and headed into Saint Denis to do a random mission when Arthur passed out on the floor. Arthur was able to make it to the doctor, but the doctor told him that he might not live too much longer because he got a random disease from that time when he was in Guarma. So Arthur knew that he was going to need to get the Platinum Trophy quickly before he died. And if you guys were wondering why I'm even getting Red Dead 2's 250-hour Platinum in the first place, it's because I created the subscriber milestone challenge where I'll be platinuming a hard game for each subscriber milestone I hit until I eventually have to platinum the hardest game of all time. So if you want to see me suffer on some of the hardest games of all time, make sure to like and subscribe. So I continued playing the story and grinded out missions for like 3 hours straight. Even though I just did all that, I'm still nowhere close to completing chapter 6 because it takes over 10 hours to complete. And after completing one of these missions, I received the trophy Extreme Personality for reaching max honor level, which basically means for me being a good boy. To get the trophy Artificial Intelligence, I have to discover the fate of Marko Dradic. Marko Dradic is basically a mad scientist who is trying to create a living robot, almost like those Elon Musk robots. So on his first try to make the robot, it basically tweaked out and died after 3 seconds. But I came back to his laboratory a few in-game days later because I didn't receive the trophy I was going for. That's when I found Marko dead on the floor with it looking like the robot came to life, killed him, and ran away. Pretty creepy, right? Artificial Intelligence. Discover the fate of Marko. So I continued the mission grind and even received the trophy 3rd time lucky for completing the mission Goodbye Dear Friend, where I basically took down the leader of the O'Driscoll gang. So far, Red Dead 2 is the best story I've ever played, and I've done so much cool stuff like robbing trains, robbing banks, and even traveling to a Caribbean island. However, Arthur is getting more and more sick and can barely even defend himself anymore. So we complete one more train robbery, but everything goes downhill. Our leader Dutch was acting more and more selfish, which completely ruined the chemistry of our gang. In the train robbery, Dutch said he couldn't help John after he was shot off the train, and Arthur was a little suspicious about this. However, Dutch was completely lying because when we arrived back at camp, John came out of nowhere and started blaming Dutch for leaving him to die. Then everyone starts getting mad at each other and even gets to the point where they go into a standoff. And now Dutch doesn't really know what to do, but eventually him and almost everyone else goes against Arthur. Bruh. And eventually a standoff becomes a massive fight, so we gotta dip out of there. So we get on our horses and start running for our lives. A bit later, we get given the choice of either helping John or going back for the train robbery money. And I decided to be a good guy and help John. After running up an entire mountain, Arthur told John to escape because Arthur was gonna hold off the bad guys because even if he does make it out, he's gonna die anyways because he's hella sick. And that's when Micah comes out of nowhere and starts fighting Arthur. But it's actually surprisingly a close fight considering how sick Arthur is. After fighting for a bit, Arthur tries to crawl over to his gun, but instead this happens.
It's over.
Dutch! Come on, Dutch, don't do me like that!
And now Dutch is debating if he should help his sick lifelong friend, aka Arthur, or help the manipulative Micah. But Dutch did none of these and just decided to walk away and let Micah run away from this mess, leaving Arthur alone to die. Arthur crawls over to the side of the cliff and watches the sun rise while his life slowly fades, like the ninja low taper fade meme. Redemption. Complete Red Dead Redemption. At this point, most people would think the story is done, but there's actually an entire epilogue based around John. A few years have gone by since Arthur died, and John is trying to create a new life with his family and leave all the gangs and violence behind. In the first part of the epilogue, John gets a job at Pronghorn Ranch where he does tasks such as milking cows and literally shoveling poo. Eventually, John gets promoted into building fences and stuff, and he realizes that he actually loves to build things. So that's why in the second part of the epilogue, John makes the big investment to buy a ranch and starts building his home alongside some of the good members of the old gang. And this is also where we get this iconic music. The only issue with getting back with some of our old gang members, some of them haven't left their past behind them, so John is quickly influenced back into violence and gangs. However, everyone had one goal in mind, to take down Micah, who was the main guy who started this all. So that leads us back to the snowy mountains. Micah knew that we were coming for him, so he was sending some of his goons to try to stop us. But that didn't stop us, as we quickly made it to the top of the mountain, which was where he was hiding. After a long standoff between John, Micah, and even Dutch, we were able to finally take down Micah, and Dutch actually being the one to make the first move.
I need my bullets.
So that's how the epilogue ends. Endless summer. Now we'll move on to the second phase of the Platinum Trophy, the online mode. Red Dead Online is known for being the worst part of Red Dead 2's Platinum Trophy, and that's especially because of the trophy Notorious for reaching rank 15 online. It was also around this time when I got a notification from Rockstar because they posted something about how there's some 3x XP thing happening, but it's only for this week. So I knew I was gonna need to lock in and get rank 50 so that I don't have to spend a gazillion hours trying to get this trophy. But first, I created my character. Next up, I had to complete the intro missions because there's a crap ton of things in Red Dead Online which can be very confusing at first. So I quickly finished up the intro and got the trophy breakout. Not even 1 second after this trophy, I was already lost because what even is this? So I searched up what's the easiest way to get XP in Red Dead Online, and almost everyone said it's becoming a collector. But then I quickly realized that it costs 10 gold to become a collector. So I decided to enter a race because I thought that might give me a decent amount of gold. And at this point, I was also in a PlayStation party with some of my friends, and they were low-key dumb as hell.
I just came up with the best method ever. Let's get a time machine, go back in time, buy Bitcoin, Renegade Raider, Gold Trooper account, and all this shit, and then let's sell it. Let's buy Bitcoin when it was at like $0.0001, buy like 2 million of them. Let's go. Light work.
So I decided to play a few more races, and once I got back to free roam, I realized I only gained an additional 0.2 gold from over 30 minutes of races. And this was not going to cut it if I wanted to get 10 gold quickly. So I went to the best thing I knew, free roam missions. Free roam missions are essentially short 10-minute missions where I do random things like delivering packages or some. So I completed one and got 0.16 gold and tons of XP as well, so I knew this was the way to go. So after about an hour of grinding free roam missions, I hit a milestone. Getting started. Reach rank 10. And a few missions later, I hit another milestone. Gun for hire. Accept 10 free roam missions from characters around the world. But while doing these missions, I was not only getting gold and XP, but I was even getting a decent amount of cash. So I decided to spend $200 to form a persistent posse, which not only gave me the trophy posse up, but is going to be essential for some of the trophies later on. So I continued grinding missions and noticed a trophy called Pick to Perfection for picking 25 herbs. So I made sure to pick any herbs I can see in free roam missions, and after not too long, I picked my 25th herb. And that was the last trophy before I realized I'm truly screwed. Over the last few days, I've been grinding these free roam missions for a total of nearly 10 hours, but the thing is, I'm only at 5 gold, which is only halfway to my 10 gold mark. So I had to find an even better way to get gold, unless I wanted to spend another 10 hours on free roam missions. So I really dived deep into my research and found out that if you activate 2FA on your Rockstar account, they give you 10 free gold. So I activated it, and just like that, I got free 10 gold bars in literally 5 minutes of work. So yeah, I might have just wasted 10 hours on those free roam missions. Bruh. But at least I'm now rank 15, so maybe it was worth it. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. But when I went to become a collector, I saw that it now costs 15 gold. So maybe it was worth it grinding those 10 hours? Like, we really got inflation in Red Dead Online before GTA 6. So now that I'm a collector, I can now collect collectibles for some really quick XP. I was getting about 100 XP per minute, and I had the great idea to collect every collectible on the map in one sitting. But let me tell you, this literally took me over 6 hours to do. At least I got the Buckle Up trophy for achieving 5 gold belt buckles from awards. So I sold all my collectibles back to this lady and gained tons of XP and money. But I was low-key getting bored of collectibles, so I decided to get a few random miscellaneous trophies to try to cure my boredom. The first trophy I got was Home Comforts for buying 5 camp improvements. I bought these flags for like 50 bucks each, and that easily got me the trophy. Home Comforts. Purchase 5 camp improvements. Next up, I got the trophy Master Craftsman for crafting 20 items. I basically just crafted tons of coffee, which eventually got me the trophy. Master Craftsman. Craft 20 items. The third trophy I got was non-regulation for crafting 25 pieces of ammo. I headed over to a fence where I bought the small game arrow recipe, which was only $350. But to craft them, I was missing feathers and arrows. So I was able to buy arrows and went bird hunting for the feathers. So after hunting for a bit, I headed back to the campfire where I crafted the 25 small game arrows, which earned me the trophy. I think. There we go. Non-regulation. Craft 25 pieces of ammunition. The fourth trophy I got was Horses for Courses for buying 5 horses. Going into this, I had over $1,600, but I wasn't sure if I had enough money because the stall for the 5th horse was $750. And buying these stalls made my money go down quickly. So I made sure to buy the cheapest and worst horses available for 50 bucks. And once I bought the last horse, I got the trophy with only $100 left to my name. The final random miscellaneous trophy I got was Butcher for selling 20 items to the butcher. I basically ran around with my horse, hunted down squirrels, and sold their carcasses to the butcher, which which eventually earned me the trophy. Butchered. Sell 20 items to the butcher. After collecting all these trophies, I cured my boredom and went back to the collectible grind. But that didn't last too long because after collecting collectibles for 6 hours straight, I got bored again. I don't know if it's only me, but I literally can't grind collectibles. Like, it feels like my brain's rotting. But at least I'm slowly getting closer to rank 50. So I got an invite to a free roam event and decided to join it. Free roam events are basically random events like capture the flag or something like that. Little did I know, once I finished the free roam event, it was actually my 5th one, which earned me a trophy. Eventful. Play 5 free roam events. Now the only trophies I have left are the 50 rank trophy and some other smaller trophies which I'm gonna need help with. So I decided to finish up the smaller trophies, but like I said, I needed help. That's when I met this guy from New Zealand who also needed these trophies. The first trophy I got with him was All's Fair for countering a rival's posse free roam mission. But basically to get the trophy, he started a free roam mission and all I had to do was kill him and steal the package he was trying to deliver. So after doing this, I got the trophy. There we go, I got the trophy, all's fair. For the next trophy, I had to complete a free roam mission while being in his posse. Basically the exact opposite of the last trophy. In this free roam mission, we took down some bad guys, and once we were done, we both got the trophy. Alright, I got the trophy.
Easy.
And the last trophy we both needed help with was the real deal trophy for getting MVP 3 times in any game mode. The only issue is that we needed 4 people to play a game mode. So we got 2 more people and basically traded MVPs with each other in the new Halloween game mode that was out at the time. While we were trading MVPs, we were talking about the platinums we have, and they said they were actually really impressed that I got Super Meat Boy's platinum and how everyone should like and subscribe right now and go watch the Super Meat Boy platinum video after this one. Maybe he didn't say that. Let's just move on though. Anyways, I eventually got the trophy for getting my 3 MVPs and made sure everyone else got their 3 MVPs before I left. But now I'm down to the last and hardest online trophy, and that's the trophy notorious for reaching rank 50. Unfortunately, the 3 times XP week ended, but at this point I've been grinding collectibles for nearly a week straight, so I'm too far to turn back, even though I absolutely despise collectibles. So I started the day around level 45, hoping that this might be the final day for collectibles. So I went around the map collecting everything for the last time, and while doing so, I even got an achievement for collecting 500 collectibles. Honestly crazy. Personally, I think Red Dead Online is not a terrible game mode, but I don't think needing to spend a total of 40 hours just on the online was necessary for the platinum. And after going around the map collecting everything for the last time, I got to the point where I'm now approaching the final collectible. Alright, so I'm currently at level 49, and once I collect this collectible right here, I should be finally able to be done with this online mode. Notorious. Oh my gosh, reach rank 50. So now we'll move on to the final phase of the platinum trophy, where I need to 100% the story. To 100% the story, there are so many different things I need to do, such as the 90 challenges and even killing and skinning every animal in the game. But the first thing I decided to do was get the trophy Gold Rush for getting 70 gold medals in story missions. You see, after completing a mission, you either get a bronze, silver, or gold medal depending on how many of the objectives you did. Some objectives can be easy, like hitting 5 headshots or completing the mission without healing. However, some of these can be incredibly difficult, like completing a mission without taking any damage. Going into this, I only had about 20 gold medals out of the 70 I needed. However, I had tons of missions with silver medals, which means I was only one objective away from getting the gold medal. So I started out by completing those missions, and the silver medals slowly faded into tons of gold medals, which only took me nearly 10 hours. Now I'm at 50 gold medals, which means I'm only 20 away from the trophy. However, all the remaining missions were all kinda hard. Like, it would take me 2 to 4 tries to get 1 gold medal, because there'd be so many times where I clearly complete an objective, but the game still doesn't give me the gold medal. In this mission, I needed to shoot down the rope to free Sean for an objective. Pretty simple, right? Well, after shooting down the rope, it said I still haven't completed the objective. Like, I was about to start crashing out because each attempt failed is like 15 minutes wasted. But I kept pushing through and spent way longer than I should have for this trophy. Like, I got so desperate for these gold medals that I started shoveling pig poop for a medal. I also surprisingly encountered so many glitches. Like, I'm gonna show them on screen right now, but they are just so random, like, I don't even know. But if anything, they were actually slowing me down, which is not great. Overall, the trophy Gold Rush is terrible, boring, and an annoying grind. So after spending almost 25 hours on just this trophy, I was approaching the final gold medal. Gold Rush! Let's go! Earned 70 gold medals in story missions. Man, that trophy took way longer than I thought I would have. It's currently day 82, and this is when I realized that I only had 18 days left to get the platinum, so I needed to lock in and decided to start by completing the 90 challenges. There are 9 different categories of challenges, with each one containing 10 different challenges. The first category I decided to complete are the bandit challenges. The bandit challenges are all about robbing people and basically doing no good. My favorite challenge in the bandit category is probably Bandit 5, where I needed to get a $250 bounty in a state. To get a $250 bounty in a state, I basically need to do really bad things. So I decided to just crash out on everyone and start shooting them. And my bounty got higher and higher until I hit a bounty of $255. But then I realized that this is the perfect opportunity to get the bountiful trophy for getting a $250 bounty in every state. There are 5 states in Red Dead 2, and I was gonna need to get $250 bounty in each one of them. At the time when I was doing this, I thought there was only 3 states in the game. So I got a $250 bounty in those 3 states, and I was low-key kind of confused why I didn't get the trophy yet. So I did some research and realized that I'm still missing 2 states. So I quickly got a $250 bounty in the remaining 2 states, which which earned me the trophy. And a bit later, I unlocked Bandit 10, where I needed to complete 5 train robberies without dying or getting caught. And while robbing my 3rd train in a row without dying, this happened.
Please, just take it and
Take
leave.
from the rich. Robber loot $250. I wasn't even going for that, but I'll take it. So I quickly finished up Bandit 10 and moved on to the Explorer category. I'm not gonna lie with you, this category is boring as hell. All I did was collect some treasure the entire time. I was almost done the Explorer challenges when my horse almost died, which by the way is the most annoying thing that could happen to you in the game. And just look at my reaction. My horse almost just died. Holy crap. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna skip this category. It's hella boring. And now moving on to the Gambler challenges, which are known for being the hardest and most annoying category out of them all, because this category is all based on luck. You can complete a challenge in either 2 minutes or 2 hours. But as you'll see, it actually took me way longer than 2 hours just to complete one of these challenges. Going into this, I wouldn't say I'm the best gambler, but you know, I know a few things. In the Gambler challenges, I played some dominoes, poker, and even a bit of 5-finger fillet, which were all not too bad. But it was Gambler 8 when things really fell apart. For Gambler 8, I needed to win 3 hands of blackjack after hitting 3 or more times. Online, people say that this challenge alone can take you several hours. So in blackjack, the dealer hands you 2 cards at the start of the game. Your goal in blackjack is to get as close to 21, but you can't go over it or else you lose. So to complete the challenge, I need to ask for an extra 3 cards on top of those first 2 cards and still get under 21. So to sum it up, it's basically all luck and 0 skill. By the way, just that first hand took me nearly 2 hours to get. And about 30 minutes later, I won my second hand. So it was looking like I might be able to complete this challenge very soon. However, over 2 hours later, I still haven't completed Gambler 8 yet. Like, this is one of the things I hate about trophy hunting, and it ended up taking me 3 hours just to get the final hand. Gambler 8 took me a total of 5.5 hours to complete, which is the longest time yet. So I won 3 games of dominoes in a row for Gambler 9, but when I had to win 3 hands of poker in a row for Gambler 10, I was actually losing my mind. But I eventually finished Gambler 10, and now we'll move on to the Herbalist category. In the first few challenges, we did stuff like picking random herbs and crafting poisonous knives. But to be completely honest, the first few of these challenges were really easy. But everything got 10 times worse when I needed to collect every herb in the game for Herbalist 9. But to be honest, all I did was follow a guide, which took me 3 hours to do, and just like that, I finished Herbalist 9. And for Herbalist 10, I needed to cook all the different types of meat in the game. But while doing that, I accidentally got the trophy self-sufficient for crafting 30 unique items. Next up are the Horseman challenges. The Horseman challenges were all about killing animals on a horse or riding one place to another in a certain amount of time, which were all not too bad. But it was Horseman 10, which by itself made the Horseman category the most time-consuming category out of them all. To complete Horseman 10, I needed to tame 9 out of the 20 horses in the game. The first 8 were pretty easy to get because they all spawn in various locations around the map. But the last horse, the Hungarian Half-Bred, was nowhere to be seen. I was looking in every nook and cranny to find this horse, so that's how you know I'm desperate. And it even got to the point where I've been spending 6 hours trying to find this one horse, and I was actually losing my mind. But eventually I found this old Reddit post from 2018 that included a 360p picture of every horse location in the game, and it looked pretty accurate. So when I went to the location of the Hungarian Half-Bred, this happened. Let's see. No way. Oh my gosh, finally. Bro, you guys don't understand. This is what you get, bro. Next up on the Master Hunter challenges, which were overall not too bad. But in Master Hunter 5, I had to skin 3 bears, and while I was doing it, this bear attacked me, and after killing it, I surprisingly got a trophy I wasn't going for. Grin and bear it. Let's go. Survive 18 bear attacks and kill the bear each time in story mode. So I killed a legendary panther for Master Hunter 10, and that basically sums up the Master Hunter challenges. Next up are the sharpshooter challenges, which were again pretty easy. Like, I shot birds on a moving train and stuff, so yeah, pretty cool. That's basically it for the sharpshooter challenges. And now the second last category, the survivalist challenges. It started out pretty chill with me needing to catch some common fish, but for survivalist 9, I had to catch a fish weighing at least 19 pounds. So I headed over to the swamp and made sure to equip my swamp lure because I was gonna catch a channel catfish. So I got a fish on my bait, and after fighting it for a minute, this happened. Yo, that fish is massive, almost as big as a low tier fade meme. It was this big, and I complete Survivalist 9, but everything went downhill when I had to catch one of every species of fish in the game for Survivalist 10. The first few fish were pretty easy, like the rock bass and the perch, which each only took me about a few minutes. Eventually, I was able to catch one of every species of fish except for the redfin pickerel. This fish species alone made Survivalist 10 2 times harder. I spent over an hour fishing in this river with no luck, but it wasn't until I tried a new location when I was catching tons of pickerels, but not the redfin pickerel. That's until this happened. Oh my gosh, it's actually redfin. man. Holy crap, bro. But this wasn't gonna be the last time I was gonna be fishing. Later on, I'm gonna have to catch every legendary fish in the game, which is 10 times harder than Survivalist 10. But anyways, we'll now move on to the 9th and final category, the weapon expert challenges. I'm not even gonna lie, these were really easy, but also they were not boring. Like, I did some fun stuff like blowing up 4 people at the same time with dynamite and killing a grizzly bear with a throwing knife. Overall, the weapons expert category was pretty chill and fun. And now that the 90 challenges are done, you might have noticed already, but I didn't even get a trophy for completing them. I did all of that just because it's one of the many requirements for the 100%. Now it's around day 89 and we're moving on to the most annoying part of the 100%, the collectibles. I decided to start up with the easier collectibles and slowly move my way up until I get to some of the hardest and most annoying collectibles in the game. So I started with the easiest collectible, the dream catchers. There's only about 20 of them scattered around the map, which is honestly not that many. So I quickly collected them all, which only took me about 30 minutes, and I was able to visit this cave with paintings on the wall and even got a free arrowhead. The second easiest collectible are the rock carvings. There's only about 10 of them, so they were super easy, but the only reason why they're slightly more annoying than the dream catchers are because I had to climb mountains to find some of them, which is not the best. But they cool though. Next up are the dinosaur bones. I met up with this lady who told us that there are 30 secret dinosaur bones hidden in the ground around the map. So I dug up and collected all 30 dinosaur bones, which in total didn't take me too long. So I headed back to the lady and she took all my dinosaur bones to create this massive dinosaur. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Hey, let's go, collector's item. Complete one of the collectible strands. So far, the collectibles have been pretty easy, but that all changed when I had to catch all legendary fish, which is the third most annoying collectible in the game. The first legendary fish I caught was 29 pounds, which I thought was pretty big, but then I caught a 36 pound fish, 46 pound fish, and eventually a 54 pound fish, which is absolutely massive. Almost as massive as a low tip fading meme right now. Once I caught all the legendary fish, I sent them in the mail, which led me to this mission where I had to take pictures of this guy fishing. But then he got pulled into the water and disappeared, but at least I got a trophy. Let's get it, Western Stranger. And now the second hardest collectible in the game, the exotics. So this guy wants us to collect some exotics for him, so he gives us the first of 5 lists of exotics for us to collect. But I didn't realize that the first list was actually going to be the hardest out of them all. And that's all because of these 3 different types of plumes. To get the plumes I needed, I had to catch rare birds that only spawn in the swamps. But because I accepted the exotic challenges, the spawn rates of everything on my current list went down like 50%. So these birds are already rare, and it just became even rarer. So I ran around the bird spawn areas back and forth, and every once in a while a clump of the birds would spawn, so it was always a relief seeing this. But it still took me a total of 2 hours just to find those 15 plumes because they were so rare. But before handing them back into the guy, I decided to get the stuff on the upcoming list early because the 50% spawn decrease thing isn't active yet. So that means I'll be able to find the next animals and plants much easier and quicker if I just start doing the list now. So once I found out this trick, it was basically barbecue chicken from there, which basically means I was able to collect the rest of the list with no problems. But yeah, I still spent way too long on this collectible. And now the hardest and most annoying collectible in the game, the hunting requests. And if I can complete this, I'll receive the It's Art trophy. However, this collectible is absolutely garbage. So there are 5 different hunting requests, which are basically lists of various animals in the game which I needed to collect. But you not only need to find those animals, but they also need to be in perfect condition, which is pretty rare. It started out pretty easy with me just needing to find a perfect squirrel and rabbit carcass. I was making slow progress until I got stuck on the perfect opossum carcass. I kept finding opossums, but just not the perfect 3-star ones. And I eventually got to the point where I spent 2 hours looking for this thing, and it was seriously getting on my nerves. But after 3 hours, I ended up finding a perfect opossum. These are the little things which are the most annoying, especially when I'm trying to platinum the game in a time limit. I was convinced that the opossum must have been the hardest carcass in the hunting request, but I was quickly proven wrong when I had to find the perfect woodpecker and blue jay carcasses, which are tiny birds flying in the sky. So I continued grinding for hours on end and eventually finished up all the hunting requests and handed them all in. Not too long after, I unlocked this side mission where I received a squirrel statue as a gift for completing all the hunting requests. So we put up the squirrel statue on a shelf above the fireplace in our home as a decoration. However, not even 24 hours later, it went missing. We found the statue hidden in a chest and put it back on the shelf. And then it went missing again. But this time it was hidden in the fireplace, so we put it back on the shelf. And it kept going missing again and again, and the places it was hiding became more and more extreme until it led us to the top of this mountain. There we go, the trophy, It's Art. Find a permanent home for the squirrel statue. So now that the collectibles are done, I'm on day 95, and you might have thought that I get the Plum trophy by now, but you are completely wrong, because now I need to complete the longest and worst grind of the entire game. And I'm of course talking about the trophy Zoologist and Skin Deep for studying and skinning every animal in the game. But I had a plan to make this easy. You see, the entire time I've been getting the platinum, I've been trying to study and skin as many animals as possible. By doing this, I studied and skinned so many rare animals, which probably saved me at least 10 to 15 hours. Now that that I have to study and skin every animal in the game, I only have about 40 animals left out of the almost 200. So I was already almost done. So I followed an hour-long guide and went to all the locations of the animals I had left. After doing just one sweep of the video, I was down to just 10 animals left. And after doing a bit of research and finding out specific locations for each animal, I was down to just 4 animals left. But these last 4 were going to take way longer than I thought, and eventually got to the point where I couldn't find the last animal, and I only had about a few hours left before the 100-day mark. The first animal out of the last 4 was the Rocky Mountain Bighorn sheep. So I ran around the supposed locations and ended up finding it after almost an hour of looking. In this clip, I was on my way to the location of the eastern turkey vulture, and I decided to why not look at the sky for birds, which I almost never do. But the one time I did, I actually found the exact bird I was looking for. This really made me think about all the times I probably ran past an animal I was looking for. At this point, I still have 3 days left to get these last 2 animals, but these last 2 were going to take over my life. The first one is the Rio Grande wild turkey, which is arguably the hardest animal in all of Red Dead 2. So basically every video and Reddit post said that its location is in the Rio Bravo area, which makes sense. But the thing is, this turkey is nowhere to be seen. I ended up spending 3 hours running around Rio Bravo praying for this turkey to spawn, and eventually got to the point where I started looking everywhere in the desert instead of just in the Rio Bravo area. And that's when I spent another 4 hours mindlessly running around the desert with no luck, and I was honestly crashing out. Crazy how a video game made me crash out over a turkey. Bruh. But let me tell you, after hours and hours on end, and even getting to the point where I'm now on day 99, this happened. Wait. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let's go. Only 1 animal left. And that final animal is the Florida panther. So I went to the location of the Florida panther, but instead of finding it, I just kept finding the normal panther. And this was starting to annoy me because I got to the point where I was only 6 hours away until day 100. So I needed to find the Florida panther quickly. So I tried a new location in the swamp and it was still not working. I just kept finding the normal panther, but I had a feeling that this location might be the one. So I kept going and found 10 normal panthers and I was ready to give up. But right before I did, I killed a panther that was attacking me instead of studying it first, because really, what are the chances of this being the Florida panther? No way. It says big cat. That means it's a Florida panther. I just killed a Florida panther. So I decided to just skin it anyway, which earned me the trophy Skin Deep for skinning every animal in the game. But at least I know that this is a legitimate location for the Florida panther. But now I only have like 4 hours left until day 100, so I was praying on my knees for another Florida panther. And after about another 30 minutes of finding just straight normal panthers, this happened. No, it got out of render. No, this is actually scripted. This is so scripted. Wait, where is it? Wait, I don't know where it is, but I'm studying it. Oh, it's right there. Oh my gosh, let's go, zoologist. Study every animal across all states. But if you haven't noticed yet, I haven't gotten the Platinum Trophy yet. And that's because I saved the trophy paying respects for visiting every grave from every gang member that died in the story. So I first visited Jenny's grave, then Davy, Eagle Flies, Susan, Hosea, Lenny, Kieran, Sean. But right before I visit the final grave, I just want to remind y'all that I'm platinuming a super hard game at every subscriber milestone. So if you want me to platinum some of the hardest games of all time, why not subscribe? It's free, and you can always change your mind later. And now, let's get the platinum. So with only 2 hours left before day 100, I headed up to the final grave of the one and only Arthur Morgan. Paying respects, this 200-hour platinum is about to be done. Find the graves of each of your fallen companions. Best in the West. Attain 100% completion. And there we go. Legend of the West. What a beautiful game this really is. If you guys enjoyed this video, you should definitely check out the Super Meat Boy video on screen. I personally think it's a banger. See y'all in the next video.